Hey guys, what is going on? Randall Thor 19, Man with the Million, back again with another daily video. It's Friday. It's the weekend. Hopefully everybody has a great one. We're going to be talking about some Far Cry 5 as a whole bunch of new info and trailers released. And also the fact that this game has got people legit triggered on the internet, which shouldn't be a surprise in this day and age. But hey, by the end of the video, if you liked it, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed already, why don't you think about hitting that subscribe button and hitting that bell so you're notified whenever I upload a new video. So, Far Cry 5, was announced kind of with the key box art image a couple days ago, and they were saying, hey, look forward to the reveal, the trailers, today, Friday, May 26th. So we watched some trailers. The game looks interesting. We're going to talk about some of the info in the game, the release date, but then later on we're going to be talking about how this game has folks like legit triggered on the internet and just spouting a bunch of nonsense, which I find funny. Of course, it's funny to me. May not be funny to you, but I'll share it anyways. So Far Cry 5 has a release date, and it's actually later than I originally had thought. The rumors were that it was going to be coming out in September, but as we know now from these trailers, Far Cry 5 will be releasing on PS4, Xbox One, PS4 Pro, and Project Scorpio. It's important to remember that because they mentioned that it'll be playable on both of those. It'll be releasing on February 27th of 2018, so next year. So what do we got, 9 months to wait? I thought it'd be coming out this holiday. I guess not. Looks like they might be going after the Primal release date. If you remember, Far Cry Primal released in February of 2016. So they're going for the early year. And you know what? That might be working for them now, because if you haven't been paying attention, both Ghost Recon Wildlands, which came out in March, and For Honor, which came out in February, are the two best-selling games of the year so far. So Ubisoft has found success releasing games in the early of a brand new year. So maybe they're decided to skip the holiday. Maybe they smartened up and realized, you know what? When you're trying to sell a shooter during the holiday market, maybe you should skip it and sell it at a different time. Of course, with that said, they do have South Park coming out in October, and who knows if that game's even going to come out then or if it's even going to sell well. But anyways, so we got more info about Far Cry. Here's some stuff. We got, so Far Cry 5 is a game that centers around the 3 Fs: freedom, faith, and firearms. The game will tell a story of the rise of private militias. In a world of uncertainty and public arrest, the game looks to focus on a society on the brink of crisis. So that's kind of interesting. It's the first Far Cry game set in America. America. The previous game, Far Cry 3, was set on a tropical island somewhere. Far Cry 4, I think, was set in Tibet or India. I'm not exactly sure. But this is the first one that's come home to the mainland here in America. It's set in Hope, Montana. Seems pretty interesting setting for a shooter. You can play the entire story by yourself or in 2-player co-op, which is pretty cool. Co-op is always fun to play. I tend to play these Far Cry games in solo, but that is just me. You play as a new junior deputy of fictional Hope County, Montana. And you can basically customize the character any way you see fit, including gender and skin color. And now, when you arrive on the scene as this deputy, this doomsday cult is basically in charge of the town. And there's been a lot of games about doomsday cults lately. Outlast 2 kind of dealt with one, and this game is also dealing with the doomsday cult, with religious extremists. Not saying what religion or anything like that, but just that religious extremism, by itself. And of course, your typical Far Cry games, you can fly planes, you can, drive cars, stuff like that. Of course, you have a whole arsenal of different weapons, grenade launchers, sledgehammers, blah, 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 blah. You can help recruit people to fight for you in this huge open world, and there will be a map editor, so you can make maps and stuff, and it's being developed by Ubisoft Montreal. Now, I've seen some people come out and say that that Ubisoft has like forgotten who this game is really for, and I'm like, are you really saying that right now? Because from everything I've seen about Far Cry 5, and if you go back and look at like Far Cry 4 and Far Cry 3, maybe not Far Cry 2 or Far Cry 1 because the style has changed since then, but the one things that you can kind of agree on with Far Cry is that, one, there's always like an exotic setting. Far Cry 3 had that exotic island setting. Far Cry 4 had that mystical, ethereal kind of India setting. Tibet, I think it was. Looked really cool. And this one is set in like this western Montana setting. So it may not be as exotic as the other ones, but it's not like a regular everyday location that you would come across, right? So it has that exotic setting for it. It also seems to feature a charismatic villain. Obviously, the villain of this game, who goes by the name of Joseph Seed, is the leader of this cult. And the one thing, most leaders of most cults end up being very charismatic because you obviously have to get people to believe in the cause and things like that. So, and if you look back at Far Cry's previous games, you had Vaz in Far Cry 3, who was extremely charismatic, and you had I'm blanking on the guy's name who wore the purple suit, who was voiced by Troy Baker in Far Cry 4, another extremely charismatic villain. So it seems like we're 2 for 2. That's par for the course right there. And the next bullet point is basically over-top violence. Far Cry 5, Far Cry 4, Far Cry 3, shooters with tons of different ways to kill people. Number 4 would basically be the open world. Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4, Far Cry 5, they're open world. And it looks from these trailers and all the information that it's going to be the same type of game. You're going to have a huge open world. You can go around and do missions, side quests, all that type of stuff. So it's not really going to change. And then, of course, you have the co-op campaign, which they added in 4 and they're continuing in 5. So it seems like the formula for Far Cry is set. You have all those checkpoints, the exotic setting, the charismatic villain, the over-the-top first-person shooter violence, the open world that goes along with it, and the co-op campaign. And I'm sure it will also have a multiplayer portion as well. Although they don't really seem to push multiplayer very well on, like, very much in this game. Like, they never really have in Far Cry. Far Cry's always kind of been a single-player / co-op experience. They don't really push the multiplayer, which is weird considering, Ubisoft is all about games as a service this day. But this game might have been in development early enough where it wasn't affected by that. But then, you've seen the key art image, right? You've seen that stuff, but look at this. I'm going to show off this tweet from somebody. And you can go find it on Twitter. You can find it on all these different forums. There are people legit pissed off at this game. And look, I'll read it right here. The average American is literally the fucking villain in Ubisoft's new anti-white game. This is what they think of Patriots. Fuck 2017. Like I said, people are legit triggered about the depiction of the villain or the villains in this game, because obviously it's a whole bunch of white, hillbilly-looking, gun-toting Americans, because the game's set in America. So for whatever reason, people are disturbed by that or think that this is a commentary on the current state of the world, that this is an attack on the alt-right and Donald Trump supporters and stuff like that. I mean, come on. At the end of the day, it's a video game. Why are people getting so upset about every little thing in the world? Like, you can't go on the internet or anywhere without people complaining about something, It's kind of ridiculous. But my first thought when I saw who the villain and what the theme was for the game, I'm like, cool, that seems like you could tell a really interesting story. But now you have people that are upset because they feel like it's an attack on whites in America and Donald Trump and the alt-right and a whole bunch of nonsense. It's like, no, man, they said the game's about religious extremism. They didn't say it's about the alt-right or Donald Trump or any of that stuff. You're reading into it too much and you're projecting your beliefs onto what you think the game is trying to say. It's like, stop it. Just enjoy the stuff, man. Don't think too hard on any of this stuff. Stop getting triggered by the smallest things. There are way more important matters in the world than getting triggered about who is the villain in the new Far Cry game, for freaks. I don't know what else to say about it. Far Cry 5 looks like a cool game. Stop getting triggered, people. Stop getting triggered about every damn thing. And that's just going to be my advice for that stuff. So, does Far Cry 5 interest you? Let me know in the comments. Do you like the move to America? Would you rather have seen it back in an exotic location? Let me know. Use the comments section. I read all the comments that pass by. So I'm interested in seeing what people think about Far Cry 5. And let me know what you think about these people getting triggered on the internet. Because there's always a good, interesting discussion. God, I can't even talk. Anyways, this is going to be another video. Hit that like button if you liked it. Consider subscribing for more content. And I will see everybody tomorrow.